What's up everybody, Kinetic here and welcome back to Diablo 3. So over the past few days, pretty much every day since the patch came out, I've been farming pretty good here in Diablo 3, and I've got enough gear I think that I can start to put together some of the builds that I want to make for this patch and for the different classes. I've farmed pretty good for example, the Wizard, the Crusader, Demon Hunter, even a little bit on Witch Doctor and Barbarian as well. This build, for example, for the Wizard is specifically for regular Rift, Torment 10 farming, and I believe that this will work whether you're in season or not, but it is specifically for regular Rifts. And this is mainly because, and most of us know this, what types of builds work in regular Rifts and what kind of builds that work in greater Rifts are usually very, very different. And a lot of that has to do with the time restraints in greater Rifts, which is only 15 minutes. You got to make sure that you're moving fast, you're clearing the mobs and making sure you bring down the Rift Guardian in time. With regular Rifts, we don't have to worry about that so much, so we don't need to rely so much on mobility. We just need to make sure that we have enough survivability and damage. Let's take a look at the gear so that way you guys can see what I'm doing here. With this combination, I'm able to clear Torment 10 with ease, and that's solo, by the way. So if it works solo as well as it does, then I'm sure that if you join in, for example, public games, or if you're partying up with friends or something like that, this build will work very well for that. So the combination that I'm using is both the Delsere's armor and also the Tal Rasha armor, sometimes affectionately called the Del Rasha combo. And I'm also using, of course, Focus and Restraint for my Kanai cube. Let's go ahead and open that up. I've got the Royal Ring of Grandeur, which is going to allow me to have the 4-piece set bonus for Delsere and the 6-piece bonus for Tal Rasha. Nilfur's Boast, which is going to increase the meteor damage that we're casting automatically thanks to the Tal Rasha set, and the Furnace for extra damage against elites. We've also got a couple other really interesting pieces for this build. The Renslaor's Folly, which Energy Twister periodically pulls in lesser enemies within 30 yards. Now that's a key word right there, lesser enemies, not to be confused with what it can do against elites, because it's not going to work like that against elites. Unfortunately, with some of the changes and the ideas that Blizzard has in mind, they're trying to make it so that way, I guess, elite packs are less susceptible to crowd control, which makes sense at this point, especially with the Kanai cube. We can abuse the hell out of crowd control, so this will only work on non-elite mobs, but we do have a skill that we are using that is going to help us maintain more control over elite packs. But Renslaor's Folly is a really, really nice piece. Also, the Crown of the Primus. Slow time gains the effect of every rune. This is really, really powerful stuff there. And for the legendary gems, I'm using Bane of the Trapped, Zay's Stone, and the Gizzard for a little bit more survivability. For the weapon, Serpent Sparker, again because this is a regular Rift, not a greater Rift. The combination of effects that I'm trying to put together here is enough control. If I want to solo, then I can definitely solo with this build. It's certainly got enough damage, but also we're trying to make sure that we are adding on all the different types of elements that we can for this build, and that's mainly because of the Tal Rasha's bonus effects. The 2-piece, 4-piece, and 6-piece bonuses all have something to do with granting you more power or even more defense in the case of having a variety of different elements to cast at your disposal. So keep that in mind as you're kind of wondering why I chose what skills and what runes. And it has a lot to do with the Tal Rasha's bonuses. Let's go ahead and look actually at the skills. So we're trying to get cold, we're trying to get arcane, lightning, and also fire damage for our elements in our skills. For that, we are going to put Glacial Spike on our magic missile. This is also going to help us, of course, activate our Focus and Restraint combination right there. Black Hole, this is actually the key that I use to making sure that I still have some kind of control over elite packs. Now, as you continue to put any kind of enemy, and this also goes for elite packs, under some kind of crowd control, they begin to quickly build up some kind of resistance to crowd control effects of any kind, not just one particular kind. But Black Hole still is, like I said, is kind of the key to making sure that I have something that I can pull away or just knockback or something elite in case things go badly, or simply as part of my rotation. Slow time is definitely in this build here, and with all of the runes, it makes for a really powerful spell to cast. Energy Twister with Wicked Wind. The Twister that we're going to cast is going to stay in place, and you'll see why that's going to be helpful here in a second. Magic Weapon for Force Weapon, giving us just a really nice damage boost. And Hydra with Mammoth Hydra. Thanks to our Serpent Sparker, we're able to cast 2 of these. Now that's all 4 of our elements. That's Fire, Arcane, Lightning, and Cold here. For the passives, we're going with Elemental Exposure, Conflagration, Blur, and Unstable Anomaly. The way that I typically set this up is I'll start by casting a slow time bubble and then immediately putting an energy twister right into the middle of that. This is pretty much going to pull all enemies on one side of my screen practically into the middle of that bubble and start setting us up for a variety of effects, including damage multipliers for all the other skills that are about to be entered into that bubble as well. Because of our Tal Rasha's set, we are going to try and trigger as many different meteor effects as we can, which is very easy because we've set up the elements to be such a way. The Arcane Meteor, for example, is coming right after our Energy Twister. Next, I'm going to cast 1 or maybe 2 of the Mammoth Hydras, and that's also going to activate our Fire Meteor. And depending on whether I may be fighting a lot of enemies, or maybe it's an elite or something like that, I may go ahead and cast a Black Hole Supermassive as well, and that of course is going to give us a Lightning Meteor. Either way, before that or just after that, I'm going to be spamming my Magic Missile with Glacial Spike, which is cold damage, and going to bring in a Cold Meteor. By this time, all enemies should pretty much be dead, and for the most part, even elites as well will also be near dead at this stage of the fight. But we are going to go ahead and continue by repeating the entire combination however we see fit. What I typically like to do is go ahead and kite away into a clear area that I just came from and continue to cast bubbles in between me and wherever the other bubble and the enemies are. This ensures that the enemy that is trying to kill me is always struggling to get to me thanks to the slow time bubbles. Because we have such rapid cooldown reduction on slow time, it makes a lot of sense to try and cast as many bubbles as we can, and not just have a lot of bubbles spread around, but also make sure that all of the enemies and yourself is in one of those bubbles. I typically try to set it up where all my enemies are in one bubble while I'm standing in another that maybe they're trying to work their way towards. The reason why I want to stand in the bubble is because of the increased attack speed, while we, and also Cormac, I assume as well, is gaining an increase in attack speed. So all of these effects combined create a lot of control, a lot of damage, especially through triggering the elemental meteors from Tal Rasha's. There's a lot of ease here with clearing Torment 10. I have very little difficulty not only killing enemies, but I also don't have a lot of situations where I'm struggling to survive either. It is going to depend on the stats on your gear, of course, whether you feel like you've got enough damage or enough survivability. That's why I'm not going into specifics on what you want for maybe your shoulders or for your chest piece or something like that, because you may want more life or you may want more skill damage or something like that. But whatever you do, you definitely want to try and get meteor damage on your offhand and for your boots.
Didn't see that coming, did you? Still waiting.
The Rift Guardian has arrived.
Need more time. Still waiting. Not ready yet. Need more time.
Thanks for watching this video on my Tal Rasha Rift farming build in Torment 10 here in Diablo 3 patch 2.3. This build is quite fun to play, I think. It's not a single button kind of mashing event and just face rolling through the game. It's a little bit challenging and keeps me awake, and I like to kind of be aware of what I'm doing. I have to think about how I'm positioning things with the time bubbles and the twisters and mammoths and stuff like that. So I hope that you guys enjoy it as well. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. Click the like button to support these Diablo 3 videos here on the channel. I've got more videos for Wizard and for all classes coming up, for all sorts of different types of builds, for farming regular rifts, doing greater rifts, bounty runs, and stuff like that in the very near future. Thanks again for watching. My name is Kinetic, and I'll see you next time.